What's up, gang? I'm gonna teach you some technique today. Alright, I know that a lot of this may be review for you, but still watch it because maybe it won't. Maybe there's something you didn't know. Maybe there's something you were doing wrong this whole time. Well, it may not be wrong, but it's not our technique. So maybe you have to change something. Watch this video, please. Here we go. The whole thing. Let's start out with our grip, alright? When you're holding a drumstick, we're going to be using, oh yeah, if you want to follow along, I'm going to go through our Raiders packet, basically. So we're going to be using a German grip, alright? It's a mix between a French and American. It's in between. So our hand is not going to be completely flat. It's not going to be completely dropped. It's going to be in the middle at a slight angle. All right, see that? Let's see. If it was flat, it'd be right in line with the ground. It'd be parallel. If it was, sorry, that's American. If it was French, it'd be perpendicular to the surface. Can you see that better now? And then if it was German, it's gonna be like a 45-ish degree angle, you know, slight angle. It's in between. It's very important. Why is that important? Because that changes how we use our wrist. All right. See, if I turn to a French grip, I'm using my wrist in this motion. If I turn to American, I'm going to be using my wrist completely in this motion. And then if I use a German, I'm going to be using my wrist in this motion. It's kind of a combination of both motions here. It's both those together. Now with that, if I was using the American, my grip the angle of my stick would completely change. We want, with German, the stick is going to be almost in line with your arm. If I turn it this way, you can see it's right in line with my arm, but this way, it's going to be at a slight angle. See, we don't want it to be straight in line with our arm. No bueno. And to determine that, look at where the stick is resting on your hand. If it's resting here, it's going to be straight in line with your arm. We don't want that. We want it resting more on the pad, like underneath our pinky, not in between these two pads, but resting on this pad. That'll create just a slight angle. And that means the stick is not going to be resting on the tips of our fingers up here or below here. It's going to be resting curled in between our fingers. So it's mostly going to be touching the middles of our fingers. All right? And with that, we'll be using wrist and finger for almost every type of stroke or note that you play. Oh my goodness! It's just the garbage man. So, the pressure that you're going to be squeezing on the stick is going to come from mostly these 4 fingers, all right? If you haven't heard of a fulcrum point before, fulcrum point is the point at which there's a line in which the stick will swing. It'll teeter-totter, all right? The fulcrum point is that connection between the fingers, where you're putting the pressure. So if you put the pressure between these two, pointer finger and thumb, that's a fulcrum point. Our fulcrum point is going to be kind of mixed, all right? When I say use more back finger, I'm talking about using the fulcrum point, putting more pressure between your thumb, ring finger, thumb, and middle finger. If I say put it more towards the middle, that's mostly thumb, middle finger, and a little bit of these pointer and ring finger. If I say put it towards the front, that's thumb, middle finger, and pointer finger, or else for fast rolls, that's just mostly thumb and pointer finger. And understand that when I say faster, that's what your chops allow you to play. So just go through that and kind of think about, as you're playing, what fulcrum are you using? Where's the pressure? Where are you squeezing on the stick mostly? Is it between just the front finger, or are you actually squeezing evenly with all fingers, or are you squeezing more with just the back fingers? So kind of think about that. This pinky, you need to keep it on the stick or around the stick. We don't want it dropped like this. That just looks bad. People say that's not a good technique. I don't think it really matters too much if you get a good sound. Basically, all this, so you understand, if you can get a good sound without doing this, then don't do that at this point, all right? We need to have a good foundation of a good solid technique within the tenor line. And once we get this down, then definitely go for it. Experiment, try different things to get an even better sound quality, all right? That's what our ultimate goal is going for sound. And once we reach that, then you can do whatever you need to do, all right? So this technique is to get to that good sound quality first of all, to get us all on the same playground, all right? Now from here, we are not going to be using much arm. It's only to move from one drum to the other. Yes, it naturally does move, but right now we don't want to be pumping our arm, all right? Later on, we will start getting more into that, be like, all right, now that we can use our wrists and fingers really well, we're going to let our arms, we're not going to restrict it so much. Right now, we want to focus on using wrist and fingers. Okay, first these two, and then later on we'll get to this. All right, it'll feel a lot more comfortable once we figure these two out and we add in the arm. But if we add in the arm right now, it's going to detract from focusing on these two, fingers and wrists. So think about that as you're drumming. Am I using my wrists? Am I using my fingers? And when I say fingers, it's just a little pumping motion. It's not a big squeezing like you're squeezing a handlebar brake. It's just a little flicker, all right? Now with that being said, this gap in between your palm and your stick is not going to ever open up like this much. It's only going to be a couple inches of movement, all right? See that? So without the stick, this is what your fingers are basically doing, all right? That's how you're going to move the stick, how you're going to get more velocity. And the reason for that is if we have it all the way out here, it's going to create a lot less control. It's harder to control that. It's a different technique. You can use that, but we don't want to use that, all right? We're going to stick with keeping it nice and close to our palm, okay? That'll keep us all our hands looking the same. As far as, I think that's pretty much it for technique. If you have any questions, please let me know, point some things out. Oh, here we go, sorry, I forgot about this one. Your thumb and your pointer finger, these are going to be in line with each other. See how they both stop about the same point? We don't want them to be uneven. We don't want it to be one is higher and lower than the other, all right? They're going to be at the same spot. And with that, we want this gap here in between our thumb and our pointer finger to be closed. We don't want it to be squeezing like, and we don't want it to be very open and loose. We want it to keep it closed, and for this reason, that'll keep the fulcrum going straight through the stick in the middle of the stick from I forget what that's called, but if you took the diameter of the stick, yeah, it would be straight through the center of the stick like this, going